Shalom, shalom. All right, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And yeah, as you can see in the title, a dark and angry winter is coming. And this is based on a couple of articles I was reading about what is already happening in Europe, in the EU, as well as what's getting ready to happen as we move towards winter. Okay, as they're anticipating, or not anticipating, they're expecting food prices to double again. Okay, as we get into the fall and into the winter, you also have the situation with the MP that's going on. All right, the new thing that's going on now, as they're gonna start ramping it up more and more wintertime. Okay, now you have this energy crisis, which I've been talking about a lot. This energy crisis, as to how it's. I have a couple of articles here that we can, go through a bit of it, and you can see why I titled the lesson "A Dark and Angry Winter is Coming." And it's not just going to affect the EU; it's going to affect America and other countries as well. Now, before that, there's this clip that I was watching as well. Aharon Mathba on his channel, on this brother's channel right here, and he put up a short clip about 1 minute and 28 seconds. And when you watch this video, what I'm trying to do is not play it right at the beginning, and hopefully it doesn't get picked up and they shut down the video or the lesson because of that. Now, this individual that you see before you on here says some very interesting things. And in a nutshell, what I'm first going to do is, let me just put the link here. So the link is in the description. Now, I'm going to speak just a little bit about it, and then, a little later on, I'll just play it. So that's why I put the link in there in case you want to see it right away. You don't have to wait to hear me finish talking before I play it. But anyway, in the video, at getting to the end of it, he says something very, very, very interesting. Matter of fact, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to forward it to the end, the key important part, and play that, and you can hear that. So let's hear what he says at this point.
Microchip implant, RFID chip.
Oh, that was right on the money, huh? Let's move it back just a little bit.
Really what central banks are aiming at. Several central banks have, like the Bank of England, already prepared their microchip implant, RFID chip, to be implanted under your skin. And why is the sudden discussion about universal basic income from all the grassroots and inverted commas movements and billionaires? Oh, universal basic income is the bribe for you to accept the microchip.
There you go. So that's all you needed to hear. All right, that's all you needed to hear. He said that the UBI, the universal basic income, is the bribe for you to accept the thing, the MOTB. All right, the M, the M. Okay, or I'm gonna just call it it. So that's what they're saying. Now, that means that right now, people are not relying on a UBI per se. So what does this mean? If they're gonna use a UBI, all right, their intended use case is gonna be as a temptation in order to get you, to bribe you in order to accept that thing. That means that there's a lot of factors that are going to go into how this UBI is going to be instituted and how it's going to be set up. Notice it's a universal basic income. So this means that right now, being that it's not in full use, that means that there are other factors as of now that are here. And because of those other factors, you don't really have a need for a UBI. But then that means that they're gonna bring a condition, all right, harsh conditions, collapses, chaotic situations, governmental collapses, in order to bring the solution of the UBI and make the UBI like a life or death. Like, you need this. This is the new way that they're pushing for. So now what we're seeing is, almost like the reverse, right? They have a solution. These are their solutions. Okay, these are their solutions. Our civil liberties are under imminent threat. The digital accounts of the dissidents and regime critics could be switched off centrally so that purchase of necessities become impossible. Does that sound like Revelation 13:17 to you? Because it does to me, right? That no man might buy or sell. So if you don't have this thing, right, as it says, digital accounts, that's what's going to be happening. And these are the central bank's goals. Now, I'm going to see if I can try to pull up this document here. But as it says, the central banks aim at an Orwellian dystopia of total control over people and the end of any freedoms. And in this part, the key part, the Bank of England has already prepared. They already have it. So they have their solution that they want to implement. And we know they use problem, reaction, solution. But they don't have a problem, look at the reaction and think of a solution. No, the problem is always tailored to the solution. They work backwards. All right. They don't create a solution for the problem. They create a problem for the solution. These are the goals, right? How do you turn goals into solutions? You need a problem that makes the goals look like the solution. That means you're going to need to find a problem that you can fix by having a UBI. You need to find a problem that you can fix by having a digital currency in place. Right? So what are they going to do? Now you got, okay, well, if this is the end goal and we're at point A and they want to get to point B, that means that this is going to be a real bumpy ride from point A to point B. Because a lot of things got to be taken out of the way. A lot of things got to get messed up. A lot of chaos has to ensue in order for you to completely break down this old system and bring about the new one with a complete digital transition. Okay? So as you heard it out of his mouth, and as it's written on the screen, it's going to be the bride. And as the scriptures talk about, an hour of temptation. What are they going to tempt you with? They're going to tempt you to take that thing, to take it, to take the grain. But why is it going to be tempting? Right? There needs to be a situation that's going to make it tempting, right? Why is something tempting? Because you're not going to get access to the basic necessities of life as they're going to make it if you don't have it. If they collapse the economies and they do away with a capitalistic society where now you don't say, oh, I want to be an entrepreneur and I want to create my own business and make my own income. No, the only income you're going to get is from this UBI, right? But you can own, and this UBI, if they have it to where this UBI is, as we can see, is dealing with digital currencies, and the only way for you to receive your monthly check, right, or however they plan to do it, is to take this thing. You're gonna be sitting there saying, "Yo, I don't have any money. I can't make any transactions because we're not dealing with cash anymore. The transactions have to be dealt with digital currencies. But I don't have a digital wallet. I don't have this thing, so I can't make these digital transactions. I'm blocked out." That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna block you out, and you got to think about all the implications that come with this. Because in order to get on the train, it's a transaction. In order to buy food, it's a transaction. To buy groceries is a transaction. To Medicare, Medicaid, health insurance, going to the hospital, it's all this world is all centered around transactions. Everything you do is tied to buying and selling. Okay? Even just staying at home is tied to buying and selling, because you need to pay bills in order to have a home to stay in. Transaction. Electricity bill, transaction. Utilities, transaction. Rent, transaction. So if you are prohibited from making any kinds of transactions, how are you going to live in a transaction-based world? It's going to be next to impossible. And it's going to be a very heavy temptation. But that's when you got to have faith. What did you think that the kingdom of heaven, with all of its mysteries and glories and beauty, was just going to be a nice broad path for you to just run on to? No. We must, through much tribulation, enter into the kingdom. The angel told Ezra in the book of 2nd Ezra, the 7th chapter, about the straight and narrow path where it was like a deep water on the left and a fire on the right, and there could but one man go there at a time. Yeah, you found the path, but now you got to go on the path. You're not going to get to that beautiful city that's left for an inheritance just like that. You're not just going to waltz on in there. The final trial is going to be this thing. Okay, that's the final test. That's what we all going to need to pass. But that's enough on this. Let me move on to the next topic. So I mentioned in the title, A Dark and Angry Winter. And as you can see here, this is from zerohedge.com. And as we go through this, immediately, you'll start thinking of what 2nd Ezra 15, 2nd Ezra 16, and then various other scriptures, 2nd Ezra 9. Okay. We go over these scriptures over and over and over again, but now it's all happening. So it says the revolution has begun. 75,000 Brits to stop paying power bills amid inflation storm, because the cost of living is becoming very, very unreasonable in certain other parts, and it's gonna hit. Babylon the Great is written of as the place that's going to really get it the worst. So do you think that while these other places are going through what they're going through, this place is just going to be chill and it's going to stay that way? You're not being realistic if you're thinking that. So it says here, the resistance is growing as more than 75,000 irritated people in the UK have pledged not to pay their electricity bill this fall when prices jump again. And what is that? 2nd Ezra 15, right? That they shall not regard their kings or princes. Isn't Jacob delivered before the hour of temptation? Jacob's trouble happens before the hour of temptation. Well, the Jacob's trouble, the hour of temptation and all that, it's all going to be around the same time, because you're going to have Jacob's trouble. And then the scriptures say that immediately after the tribulation, and that's written in Matthew 24, immediately after the tribulation is when Yahushua is going to return. That means that from that period, from now until before Yahushua returns, you're going to have Jacob's trouble taking place, and you're going to have the hour of temptation in there. Because what's going to happen, right? They're gonna collapse society. They're going to provoke people. They're going to try to trigger people and do all of these things. That's going to cause that resistance, right? Because what do we talk about as some of the things that are going to be happening during Jacob's trouble, according to prophecy, 2nd Ezra 15, 2nd Ezra 16. And these are things that are going to come about as these devils are trying to implement their new world order. So as a part of Jacob's trouble, when you have all of this resistance and this chaos and this violence, they're going to collapse these things and then bring what? They're going to bring the order. Declaring martial law and all of these things. And with that order is going to come about a new way of living, of how you got to, live and how you got to go about. So it's not, I can't, tell you exactly when, it's going to happen, but it's all going to be in there. Jacob's trouble, us being delivered out of that, the Lord is going to, of course, protect us and, keep us. But hey, and even an example of being delivered out of Jacob's trouble, of course, being fed during the famines, being protected from the chaos, but also being kept from taking the MOTB. Because if you are not kept and you take the MOTB, you will not be delivered. You will be destroyed. So being delivered out of it ultimately leading up to the destruction that's gonna end off Jacob's trouble, you need to be delivered from the hour of temptation in order to be delivered from the destruction. Right? If the Lord says, "Nah, I ain't gonna give you the spirit to keep you," and you take that MOTB, you're gonna take a missile with it. So yeah, hopefully that was able to answer, your question. But it's all gonna be, around that same time, and as things progress further and prophecy becomes clearer, we'll see like, oh, okay, this is how this leads into this, and this happened right before this. All of that will become clearer. But yeah, going on, like I was saying, Second Ezra 15, right? Because we're seeing now that when we read in the book of Second Ezra 15, matter of fact, let me just pull it up. We read about the effect, right? We read about what's gonna be happening, but these things don't just like people don't just get up and just say, "All right, F the authorities, I ain't doing whatever," right? People don't just get up and say, "I'm gonna just break into houses and steal," and the cities are troubled, and one people stand up against others with guns and swords and stuff. People don't just get up and do that. So there has to be a trigger. There has to be a cause, and when you as we're reading these articles and we're seeing the current events, we're starting to see, okay, this is what leads to what we're reading of in Second Ezra 15 and 16 and all of that. It's like when you watch a movie, some movies do this, where in the beginning of the movie it's in the future. The beginning of the movie starts off in the future or in the present, right? You see like this person is, I don't know if they did that in the Avengers, or there was a certain movie where they did that, where all you see is like, I don't know, a bunch of people dead, and then this last person barely survives, and they're like looking around and there's just chaos everywhere. And then they'll show like a black screen, and they'll put like 48 hours earlier. And then it'll take you to the flashback of like, oh, everything was all good. This person was driving. They were going to their families and chilling and all that. And then as you watch the movie, it's basically progressing, showing you how you got to that scene that you saw at the beginning of the movie. So that's basically what's happening now. Like when you read these prophecies are like that first opening scene that you see, like, oh, shoot, dead bodies here. This person is dead. The famines are killing people. These people are dying over here. And then as we're living and measuring the times diligently, we're seeing what is leading up to what we read in Second Ezra 15 and Second Ezra 16 and Revelation 13 and all of these scriptures. And that's why it's important to stay upon your watch and to pay attention to these things, because that's how you understand what leads up to the prophecies you're reading, and it makes it even clearer. So right, I did say I was gonna read. So let me read this real quick. Second Ezra's chapter 15, and I'm just gonna hit the main part pertaining to this article, which is in verse 16. It says, "For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power." All right, shalom, shalom, Yahweh Bashem El Shabrakatham to you all. So, what is an example of not regarding your kings or princes? If they give out a decree or an order, and people are like, we're not going to follow it, to hell with that. We're going to do what we're going to do, right? The course of their action shall stand in their power. People won't, typically in a society, you have law-abiding citizens. But when you have a society where citizens are not abiding by the law anymore, and they're doing what they want to do, there's always a trigger. There's something that's causing that. Why would an average six-figure making or salary living individual, Tom or Billy, or why would they just all of a sudden say, I'm not going to pay bills anymore? Man, F all of this. I'm not going to. Why would they do that? They wouldn't just get up and do that one day. There has to be some cause, some trigger, right? So that's what we're reading here. The cost of living is going up too high. Inflation and energy crisis and all of these things is triggering people, and is making them desperate. It tells you that actually in Second Ezra 15, verse when we jump down a bit more to verse 19, it says, "A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their goods, or Slakia, destroy their houses with the sword, break into people's houses with weapons, and spoil their goods, take all the beneficial things you can get, food, people, resources, weapons. It says, because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. So this part, this latter part right here, I can't highlight it, but yes, I can. This latter part, this is the cause. This is why. When a sentence starts with because, it's usually answering a question, right? Or giving an explanation. Why? When you answer why, you answer with because. So because of the lack of bread and great tribulation, that's why all of these things we're seeing are going to be happening. So when you see in this article, this is an example of tribulation. As electricity bills are jumping higher and higher, things are getting more and more difficult to do. They're telling you, look, now you're in Spain. They're saying your air conditioning can't come below, I think, 80 degrees. And the lights for certain companies and public buildings, lights got to be off at 10. Like, things are getting harder, and it's making people uncomfortable. And they might try, but when they get backed into a corner, eventually they're just gonna come out swinging. Because once you take everything from them and they have nothing to lose, then they lose it. It says, whoa, just saw something on here about touching. Oh yeah, that's another thing too, about touching money. Okay, they're pushing that the same thing they started pushing during the C, all right, the demic. They're doing that again, demonizing cash. That, oh, if you touch this, you can transfer this. Like in the video game The Division, that's how they did it. They transferred the pathogens through cash, through money. So that's also another excuse to shift away from passing of money. So it says here, Slaki, let me read the article now. 75,000 people have pledged to strike on October 1st if the government and energy companies refuse to act, then ordinary people will. Together, we can enforce a fair price and affordable energy for all. Now, one thing I would say is go and watch videos and read about previous countries and empires and civilizations that went through this kind of trouble, where they dealt with inflation, and read about the common mistake that they all made, which was when prices went. First off, as they started devaluing their currency, prices went up. Then they tried using a price cap by saying, no, the most you can sell this item at is this price. You can't sell it any more than that. You can't. But and that also has another ripple effect on production, and that leads to even worse things. They all make the same mistake over and over and over again. Okay. So when history repeats itself, it's due to insanity. Same people coming back doing the same thing, expecting different results. It says to get, and that's why they say those that man, it's something along the lines of, like, if you are ignorant to history, then you're doomed to repeat it. Something like that. It says, together we can, together we can enforce a fair price and affordable energy for all. Tweeted, "Don't pay UK." An anonymous group spearheading the effort to have more than 1 million Brits boycott paying their power bill by October 1st. And this is what they want. The elites are pushing for this. They're putting people in these predicaments by setting up different events that are going to trigger energy bills going up, inflation getting worse. That's the problem, and now they're getting the reaction of the people, and then they can pose their solution, pose what to do next. So it says 75,000 people have pledged to strike on October 1st. If the government and energy companies refuse to act, then ordinary people will. Oh, Slaki, I think I read this. Yeah. Whoa, what am I doing? So here you can see the images here. If I don't want to click it, it'll take me to another link. But let me just go ahead and put this link in the. There we go. All right. So as you can see, hashtag don't pay UK. What else do we have here? All right, so it says the strike comes as an inflation storm of high energy prices has obliterated household incomes. Brits are the most miserable in 3 decades, as inflation is expected to hit 13%. And while Bank of England, so this is where inflation is going. Imagine what happens or what will happen if and when hyperinflation sets in. Because this is 13%. What about 30%? What about 50%? It says, and while Bank of England, hold on a second, is that the same bank that we just? What is this? Where they at? The Bank of England. Very, very interesting, isn't it? Interesting how in the video that we just saw, it mentioned how the Bank of England is already prepared, as you can see, to implant with it prepared its implant with its digital currency, CHIP, under the skin. The Bank of England is already prepared for this. They already have this, right? Now, when you come on here and you're reading this, this is in the in the UK with the Brits, right? Now this is what the Bank of England governor, right? It says here, and while Bank of England BOE governor Andrew Bailey, so what do you got to do? You got to keep a very close eye on this bank, on the Bank of England, because now you know what their agenda is. So as things are getting worse over there in England, look at what this bank is doing, and think about, are these actions benefiting? Are these actions from a motive of trying to fix the economy, or trying to help it die faster so you can switch to your true motives? So it says here, Andrew Bailey hiked interest rates the most in 27 years to tame inflation. Risks are mounting of a recession. So they've put the world in a position where either way you go, you're gonna face, you either gonna deal with inflation, or you're gonna try to stop it and end up dealing with a recession. On October 1st, the average household will pay almost 300 pounds, euro, however, whichever one it is. I'm not good at recognizing these symbols. It look like an E, so it might be euros. Let's see. England currency. Yep, the pound. Okay, cool. I should know that, but I'm still a man. But anyway, it says here, the average household will pay almost 300 pounds. But see how simple that was, right? Now I could have decided to say, you know what, I don't know it, so I'm gonna just keep on reading. And then the next time I come and see that same currency symbol again, I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, I was supposed to look this up. But see, now you just go in there and type it up, and there you go, easy peasy. So now let's keep going. So it says here, now they're going to have to pay almost 300 pounds a month for power, the Bank of England warned. Couple surging power costs with negative real wage growth, and it becomes apparent households are being squeezed. This excludes soaring prices of shelter, food, and petrol at the pump. This trend is unsustainable and could result in social instabilities. Do you understand what's going on here? With just paying for power alone, you're dealing with $300 a month. In addition to that, you're you're dealing with soaring prices of shelter, right? Your rent and all of these other things, food that you're gonna have to pay for, which they're saying the prices of that is gonna be doubling, and then also gas for your cars and all of these things. Yeah, that's why it's going to be a dark and angry winter. It says British news outlet Glasgow Live said the strike is similar to the action in the late 1980s and 90s to fight against the poll tax brought in by Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. In protest, 17 million people refused to pay. UK financial journalist and broadcaster Martin Lewis said this about the strike. I think I can categorize it more accurately now. The big movement that I am seeing in this is an increase in growth in people calling for a non-payment of energy bills. mass non-payment, effectively a consumer strike on energy bills and getting rid of legitimacy of paying that. So what is this going to lead to? You know, when people start saying, "Nah, we ain't going to pay energy bills," what's that going to lead to? It says we are getting close to a poll tax moment on energy bills coming in October, and we need the government to get a handle on that. Because once it starts becoming socially acceptable not to pay energy bills, people will stop paying energy bills, and you're not going to cut everyone off. So what's going to happen? Well, the government got to say, okay, well, they're saying that they can't afford these energy bills, and we got to step in and do something. The minute you now have the government stepping in to do something is the minute you are relinquishing control and giving them more power. In order for them to do something, they need more control. They need more power, as they're going to say, right? We need to be able to set measures that we wouldn't normally take if we're going to find a solution to this problem. It says, meanwhile, Ofgem, UK energy regulator chief executive Jonathan Brearley told BBC Radio's 4 Today on Saturday that people shouldn't join the strike for two reasons. First of all, it will drive up costs for everyone across the board. And secondly, if you are facing difficulty in paying your bill, the best thing you can do is get in touch with your energy company. He added, I would not encourage anyone to withhold their paying their bill because that just damages things further and it will impact them personally. Yeah, but once again, it says they're not going to regard their kings or princes, and people in authority, the average individual is going to get really pissed off when people in authority start to speak, because they're going to say, look, man, you don't know what I'm going through right now. So don't come and tell me to go and pay my bills. You know, it says last week, the UK government slammed the movement, calling it highly irresponsible. This is highly irresponsible messaging, which ultimately will push up prices for everyone else. Now, once again, let's look up this word here, sedition. Sedition is not really the uprising, but it's actually, like it says here, conduct or speech inciting people to rebel against the authority or state of monarch. So what we saw in here was, when you go up here, it says there's an anonymous group, right, spearheading the effort to have more than 1 million Brits boycott paying their power bill. This can be categorized as sedition because they are using insightful speech to get people to rebel against the authorities. The authorities say, no, you got to pay these bills. They say, no, don't pay them bills. Why pay them bills? Okay, and this is a part of prophecy. You're going to have people that are going to be, speaking these things, and it's going to be influencing others to say, yeah, you know what? Why should we do that? Nah, let's go on strike, man. F this. So you're going to have insurrections and you're going to have seditions among men. So it goes on to say, Don't Pay UK believes 6.3 million UK households will be pushed into power bill poverty this winter, with millions more feeling the stress of out of control inflation. Wintertime is not something to joke with. I mentioned this before. In the summertime, it gets hot. You know what? I can't afford to turn on the AC. I'm going to go outside. I'm going to go try to jump in the pool somewhere. Wintertime, you're not doing that. Wintertime, you want hot water when you take a shower? You want to be able to turn the heater on? Yeah? You want to do that? Well, you better pay them bills. And if you can't, well. So yeah, that's going to be interesting because I think I forgot what summer it was, but in Texas, the power was out, and you had people that tried to use the heater from their car, and a lot of them were dying from carbon monoxide poisoning, if I remember correctly. It says people on Twitter responded to the movement by saying the revolution has begun, and a bit of civil unrest is on its way onto our streets, and rightly so. Hear that? a bit of civil unrest on its way onto our streets, and rightly so. Prophecy, prophecy, prophecy. Perhaps the movement's involvement will be an excellent proxy for the growing discontent festering among Brits that could result in civil unrest this winter, as millions will struggle with keeping the lights on, the furnace hot, and putting food on the table. So, from what we're seeing, is looking to be a dark and angry winter. And this is all being said without even adding the MP, the pox that's going on. That's going to bring about even more draconian and strenuous measures. So, I mean, we're definitely entering into the time of Jacob's trouble. All right. And it's going to be a hard time for a lot of people. And they're going to realize that there's literally no way out of this. That's why they're going to start losing their minds. And a brother put this precept up. Let me see. See if I can find it. Where was this? Yeah, this is Pillars of Benjamin, 2nd Esdras 5 and 12. At the same time shall men hope, but nothing obtain. They shall labor, but their ways shall not prosper. Exactly, because things about to get real difficult. Because their agenda is they have to make things very difficult. They have to do that because that way, when they come and say, "Hey, you want to try our solution now?" then people are going to be willing. All right, they're going to have people fight and fight and fight, and they're going to keep on making it tougher and tougher until they break these people, and then tell them, all right, now we're going to present the solution to you again. That's what Esau does. He's going to come to you. Yo, you trying to do it? Nah, you ain't? Okay, cool. Then he's going to hit you with all this BS and BS and BS and BS, and then he's going to come at a later time. Are you finished with those errands now, Mr. Krabs? He's going to come up to you with that shit like, yo, you ready now? Oh, you still got some fight in you? Okay, I'll be back. And he's going more until he just beats you down to where now you're like, you come to him. Oh, well, look what the cat dragged in. Are you ready for some now? And then eventually he gets you. That's why they use gradualism. Slow but sure. Slow but sure. Look, if somebody was to come and try to put you in a chokehold, right? And then they grabbed you and they got your head in the hold, but they haven't really squeezed it. They're gonna, yo, you tapping out now? Nope, I ain't gonna tap out. And so they squeeze slowly and slowly and slowly, and eventually the grip gets tighter and tighter and tighter. And then they might check in again. You want to tap out now? Nope. They're gonna keep on squeezing. That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna keep squeezing until you tap out. This is why we need Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai. Okay. This is a Batch Wilson in Las Vegas. You can get evicted if you don't pay your electricity bill. It's state law. Ah, well, look at that. So now imagine wintertime, you can't afford your electricity bill. Now they evict your ass, and now you're out here in the cold. If a family, parents with children getting evicted or not being able to pay their bills because prices are going up and they're looking for somebody to blame, these are going to be some very angry people looking to do some very angry things. Okay, and the second a mob forms, you're done. Okay, you're done. Pillars of Benjamin. Germany is currently setting up public warming stations. Very interesting. That's what they do. Okay, that's what they do. They set up the problem, and then they play the bad guy, they play the villain, and then they play the hero. So they're the perfect villain, and yet they're also and always the perfect hero. Because whatever they need the villain to do to make the hero look good, they're able to do it because they're controlling both sides. Yeah, freeze their asses, but then go and open up warming stations so they can look at you like. So when you freeze them in the dark, so they don't see who's really freezing them. But if you come out in the light and say, "Hey, look, I got a solution for you. Come here, I got a warming station." No, it's such a bad thing that they're doing. Come. Now here you are looking at them like, "Oh man, you guys are always there for us and all this shit." That's what they do. All right, he's a master of deception. And then once his deception fails, And you say, wait, hold on a second. No. You the same guy that's freezing us. Then he pulls out the sword. He tells you gonna come here one way or another, by consent or by conquest. Okay, but they're doing it. They're doing it. Now I wanted to read this article, but it's fairly long, and it's pretty much gonna touch on some of the things that are mentioned here in the previous article as well. So I'm gonna put the link to this in the description. But as you can see, a winter of anger. Reason being, I'm gonna read this first part. It is very simple. If you would ask most citizens of whichever EU country if they are willing to risk being unable to feed and heat their children in order to support Ukraine and Zelensky, they would say no, hell no. So the anger is coming because they're saying, look here, you guys, because you wanted to sanction Russia, you wanted to go there and talk about Ukraine this, Ukraine that, Ukraine this. Now I can't pay for energy bills. Now inflation is spiraling out of control. Now look at all the things you done caused. I didn't sign up for this. So now they're going to be very, very angry. Okay? And there's going to be some major civil unrest. 2 Ezra 15, one people shall stand up against another. They shall not regard their kings nor their princes. So that's coming. It's coming and you can't escape it. You better be prepared, because what we're about to witness upon the face of the planet Earth is going to be something unlike any other. And you're going to need a tough stomach in order to you're going to need to be numb to that, because there's going to be some real things out here, man. This is Big Nez, Micah 2:1. Woe unto them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hands. Exactly. They play the villain in the background, and then they come out and try to play the hero openly. All right. So this is the this is the article, the second article, and this is the link to the video, all right, that I played in the beginning. So you can check it out there. Watch, subscribe, and be edified. All right. And yeah, that's pretty much it, that I wanted to go into on that. That look, we prophesy and warn you about these things, but eventually it's going to happen. We're not going to prophesy forever. Eventually the warnings stop being warnings because they start actually happening. Okay? And you got to take heed. Don't wait to try and get ready. You have to be ready when the thing goes down. So if you're not ready now and it goes down, sadly, you might not be able to get ready in that time. Anyway, with that, I'm going to end it here. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakak, Wadash. Until next time, Shalom.